This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store Forged Irish Stout. Delighted to be joined by Hamzah Sheeraz here in Milos in Piccadilly in London. Just had finished a lovely lunch, mate. I suppose, how's things though? It's been a couple of days since the Ammo Williams fight. Enjoyed your lunch today?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good doing up the old bougie restaurants now. Do you know what I mean? But it's all right. I'm enjoying it. How are you? All good?
All good, mate. All the better for seeing you. Obviously, it's been now a couple of days since the Ammo Williams fight. A statement win for yourself. I suppose, how have you reflected on a couple of days since then?
It's been good. It's been good. The come down has been like a crash. I crashed hard. Once the adrenaline kind of got out of my system and whatnot, and then you get all the pains and aches and pains and whatnot. But yeah, no, good. The reaction from the general public has been amazing. And like I said, one more step closer to the dream now.
Yeah. You mentioned there about having the crash down. I think it's one thing that people don't always talk about, like the week after a fight. Like from when you've had like your first sort of your early fights, is it getting harder now because you're obviously getting more traction, getting more buzz around you? So like, I suppose the higher it is, the lower you fall, I guess.
It is. It's exactly that, because fight week reaches such a peak, then you have a good performance and like you reach the maximum peak of your career up until that point, and then boom, the next day it's a huge crash. But it's kind of why I love the sport. You know what I mean? It's the balance, and then you go back to being normal again, not being a robot, training 3 times a day. You go back to spending time with the dogs at home, going for walks, eating normal food. So the balance is good. The balance is great.
So talk to me about the Ammo Williams fight. I suppose now I don't know if you've had time to look back at the fight. Obviously you remember it well. Yeah. Had so fair share of scares in the fight. It's no secret what happened in the second round, having a couple good shots landing from Ammo. So how do you look back on the fight now? I suppose getting through that adversity and winning again.
You know what it was? Going into the fight, I knew there'd be rocky moments because it was a genuine 50-50 fight on terms of paper and how you look at the fight. Young, he's fresh, he's hungry, in the peak of his career, and me as well. And I sat down with Ricky and we knew what to expect. It wasn't going to be a blowout, total wipeout or blowout and whatnot. And so me taking them shots, I think I kind of at least answer some of the public's questions about do I have a chin, because that backhand was flush and it was clean as well and buzzed me as well. But it's boxing. It's what makes boxing great, and the fact that I was able to recover from that and take a few more as well, and eventually get him out of there, I think it answers, like I said, a few questions.
I was going to say that. Do you feel like you answer questions for yourself? Because I'm sure there's been times where you've been buzzed in sparring, etc., and in amateurs and fights before, but never on such a high level, and you never really know how you'll be until that situation arises. So I suppose to get that, do you feel like those questions were answered for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It was more, like you just said, for myself, to can I carry the power for 12 rounds once I've made the weight? Is my fitness good? All of them questions were answered. I felt great, didn't fatigue, legs were good, and yeah, man, they just got the result.
And on such a big stage as well, how important was it to, I suppose, provide that statement? We were talking off camera about how many people have given you praise. Many people, that was really, I suppose, people knew how good you were. People, obviously previously you've won Boxing Writers of the Year, Boxing Young Fighter of the Year award, and etc. And there's been many awards for yourself, but I suppose proving that that you are who you say you are, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's what ultimately it comes down to. Do you know what I mean? Believing in who you are, believing in your ability, believing in Frank's ability in me, and just giving back to my team, because as much as that was a victory for myself, it was a victory for Queensbury Promotions, for Frank Roar, and for my managers, my coaches, everyone. So yeah, man, I'm happy to say the least, and taking a step away from the boxing aspect of things, it's nice to be able to have my platform enhanced and get that much little bit bigger, to be able to help others in whatever walks of life, and just to be that inspirational figure eventually.
I suppose, how was your experience in Saudi Arabia? Obviously, being a strict Muslim like you are yourself, being in that sort of country, how was that experience, I suppose, for yourself? Do you feel like it is more enhanced because, I suppose, you are obviously a religious man, and I suppose Saudi follows the values that you follow throughout daily life in the UK?
Yeah, definitely. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh for allowing me to fight out there, for giving me the opportunity, giving me the platform, especially being a Muslim as well, and everything just kind of complemented each other, because nothing was new to me. I've been there before, I lived the life, So I know how everything goes, and it's nice to be able to create a fan base and a support base in an area which, if you asked me 5 years ago, I would never have had a clue. So yeah, just honoured to say the least.
We were talking about a little bit during that lunch as well, and I wanted to bring up sort of the relationship between you and Ricky Funez, of how much he's improved you, and you was talking a little bit sort of off camera about how much he's helped yourself, and this journey that I suppose you've been on for a couple of fights now and a couple of years now. How much do you feel like to your, I suppose, recent improvement you can attribute to him?
Do you know what it comes down to with coaches and fighters is chemistry, is about finding that right balance between friendship and coach, and a coach. And I've found that balance now. I've found that balance with him, and he's found it with me, where we don't cross barriers. There's always that kind of respect element of things. And that way, whatever he says, I will do. So if he says throw a right hand, I'll throw a right hand. Like if you watch the fight, just before I finished him off, he goes, counter, I'll throw a right hook on the ropes. Boom, I done it, buzzed him, got him out of there. So it's all about just listening to that mother voice. And yeah, we've had our ups and downs. Like the Bradley Skeet fight, everyone was saying, leave Ricky, leave Ricky. I knew that it wasn't him, it was just one of them bumps and hiccups in the road. And fights like that make your coach and fighter relationship that much more stronger.
Do you feel much benefit to having a camp in Preston as opposed to sort of the summer, the summer of Los Angeles, I guess?
I'll definitely be grateful when I go back to LA now. Yeah, I'll be grateful. But to say the least, I'd just like to give a massive shout out to Pound for Pound Boxing Academy in Preston. The way they looked after me, hospitality skills unreal. They went out their way for me. And they made it a good facility for me to train in, a professional facility, and they enabled that for me. And it was and they even come out to Saudi to support me as well. So if anyone here is from them ways, give the gym a visit.
Absolutely, and I suppose after a big win like that, it's only natural to talk about what is next. I think it's clear what you want next.
Yeah.
Chris Eubank Jr, I think you called him out after the Liam Williams fight, and I think, you know, having a big win like this in Wembley, it's a real attractive proposition for yourself. So ideally next is potentially Chris Eubank Jr.
In an ideal world, yes. In an ideal world, yes. It'd been an honour to share the ring with boxing royalty. And at the same time give me a chance to prove myself, to show that I do believe in my ability, I believe in Frank's ability in me, that I am the best 160 pounder in the division, and this gives me a chance to domestically prove it, and then eventually win a world title and prove it on the world scene as well. So now it's just a matter of taking the right steps and whatnot. Here he is. Here he is.
Here he is.
Cheers, Frank.
Absolutely. Do you think that the Chris Eubank fight is do you think that's a realistic proposition? Where we, as you said, we talked about Wembley on I did that 21st September card. Do you think that is a realistic proposition? Because obviously Eubank's talked about different names like Kelbrook, etc. and that. Like, do you think that he'd be willing to take the risk against a young, hungry fighter like yourself?
I think it's the only fair fight, bar Conor Benn, that makes sense for him. And the reason why I say that is because financially, he will get, I think, what he wants. There's no secret in behind how His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudis have enhanced boxers' pays. So I think, I don't know, what do you think? Would you agree with what I said?
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you what, like, just giving my opinion now, after the fight, like, obviously, I'll be honest, like, I'll probably say, like, after, like, the Williams fight, it'd be like, when Saudi was out of the picture, I'd be like, I'd probably have said that, but then I remember speaking to Andy Clark, actually, I'd say, just referencing, he was like, oh, Hamzah just called out Eubank Jr at Wembley. I'd be like, you know what? That's a really, I really want it.
Wembley Stadium, British crowd, 2 British fighters, 160, probably the 1 and 2 names in the UK, and you could possibly argue in the world as well. So I think it makes sense, and I don't want to sit here and disrespect him and say, oh yeah, I'll fuck him up, this, that, the other. I believe I'll win, yes, 100%, but I think for the fans and for the public and whatnot, it'd be a great fight.
Do you think a Eubank fight, like a big, heavy domestic fight, is more attractive than, like, obviously you won a world title, right? The Adams fight is there, but like a heavy domestic fight will do a lot more for your career at this point?
100%, and it makes more financial sense for me to fight that fight than a world title fight. And I understand they say you got to take pay cuts to fight for world titles, but when we're talking the figures we're talking here and the significant kind of different paychecks, it's kind of like, okay, it is really and truly a no-brainer. And it's not like Chris Eubank Jr. is some bum off the street that I'm getting in the ring. He's a legit fighter. He's been in there at 168, 160. I don't got to say what he's done. Everyone knows what he's done. And he's been around boxing before I was even pro. So that just speaks for itself.
Definitely, for sure. I would say, Hamzah, thank you for taking time to speak to me. Good to see you today, and always good to see you having success in and out of the ring, mate. So I do appreciate it, mate. Top man, thank you, mate. Cheers, man.